Let's face it, choosing your starter Pokémon is one of the most nerve-wracking decisions in any Pokémon game. It's like picking your first pet. You want it to be cool, dependable, and something you can proudly show off to your friends. But not every starter Pokémon hits the mark. Some are legendary icons, while others were better staying in their Poké Eggs. We'll take a closer look at the worst starter Pokémon from each region. This ranking isn't just about battling prowess, it also considers their design, representation in the anime, and overall importance to the franchise. Whether it's a clunky final evolution, lackluster stats, or simply being overshadowed by their peers, each of these starters has earned its spot on this list. So who ranks as the least impressive starter Pokémon in Kanto? How about in Johto, Sinnoh, or the newer Paldea region? Stick around to find out. And if you enjoy diving deep into Pokémon topics like this, don't forget to subscribe. It's like picking the right starter, only way easier. Kanto. Blastoise. Blastoise, the cannon-toting water turtle, holds a special place in many trainers' hearts, but let's face it, it's kind of the odd one out in the Kanto starter trio. While Charizard is a fire-breathing dragon, a fan favorite, and Venusaur is rocking the prehistoric plant dinosaur aesthetic, and Blastoise, well, it's a turtle. A very cool turtle, sure, but not exactly a showstopper. As the only monotype starter in Kanto, Blastoise lacks the versatility of its peers. Venusaur's dual grass/poison typing adds utility, while Charizard's fire/flying combo fuels its popularity. Blastoise, on the other hand, is solid but unremarkable. Its stats are balanced, another way of saying it doesn't particularly excel at anything. Even its Mega Evolution, with its oversized cannon, was more decent than game-changing. Design-wise, Blastoise is memorable, but it doesn't have the same wow factor. And in popularity, it's no contest. Charizard is a cultural icon, Venusaur holds the honor of being the first Pokémon in the Pokédex, and Blastoise? Let's just say it's the third wheel in the Kanto group photo. While Blastoise isn't a bad Pokémon, it's undeniably the least impactful of the Kanto trio, a tough position to hold in such an iconic lineup. Johto. Meganium. Meganium is often regarded as one of the weakest starters, and while that may sound harsh, it's hard to argue otherwise. As the pure grass-type representative of Johto's trio, it starts at a disadvantage. Grass types tend to have a long list of weaknesses, and Meganium isn't spared, with vulnerabilities to fire, ice, flying, and bug types, many of which are common in battles. It's a tough Pokémon to rely on in critical moments. Statistically, Meganium leans into defenses, but its middling offensive capabilities and lackluster speed hold it back. In a game where hitting hard and fast can be the difference between victory and defeat, Meganium feels like it's just trying to keep up. It doesn't have the firepower of Typhlosion or the utility of Feraligatr, making it feel like the safe option that doesn't excel in any one area. Throughout a Johto playthrough, Meganium struggles to make an impact. It's weak against many of the region's gyms, including Falkner, Bugsy, and Jasmine, and even the Elite Four isn't much kinder. Sure, it has its moments later in Kanto, but by then, most trainers have likely found better options to fill the grass-type slot. Even in the anime, Meganium didn't get much time in the spotlight. Ash's Bayleaf, while lovable, never evolved, leaving Meganium as more of a footnote in Pokémon media. While it's far from unusable, Meganium feels like a starter that needed just a little more love to truly shine. Hoenn. Swampert. Swampert is like that reliable friend who always shows up to help you move but never gets invited to the party afterward. It's dependable, strong, and versatile, yet somehow always overshadowed by its flashier Hoenn siblings Blaziken and Sceptile. While Blaziken is busy lighting up arenas with fiery kicks and Sceptile is slicing through enemies with ninja precision, Swampert just stands there, quietly holding the team together. On paper, Swampert is a beast. Its water-ground type gives it only one weakness, and that is grass, and it has the highest base stat total of any starter Pokémon. In competitive play, Swampert has been a reliable pick for years, especially when it gained a Mega Evolution that turned it into a buff, rain-powered monster. So why does it end up as the least celebrated of Hoenn's starters? Simply put, it doesn't get the love it deserves. Blaziken stole the spotlight with its fiery charisma, and Sceptile's sleek design made it an instant fan favorite. Swampert, meanwhile, has always been more function over flair. In the anime, Brock's Marshtomp never even evolved, and Swampert rarely takes center stage in spin-offs or merchandise. Don't get me wrong, Swampert's great. It can solo Hoenn games with ease and crush opponents in battle. But when it comes to popularity contests, it's holding the umbrella while Blaziken and Sceptile bask in the spotlight. Sinnoh. Torterra. Torterra is a prime example of a Pokémon that looks amazing on paper but struggles to keep up in practice. Its design is nothing short of epic. A world turtle with a tree growing on its back, embodying strength and wisdom. Unfortunately, that same turtle seems to have missed the memo about needing speed in battle. With a painfully low speed stat, Torterra often feels like it's in slow motion while opponents dance circles around it. Its grass-ground typing is both a blessing and a curse. While it provides strong offensive options, it also leaves Torterra with a glaring weakness to ice-type moves, one of the most common types in competitive play. In Sinnoh's games, it shines early against Rourke and Crasher Wake, but struggles later against Fantina, Candace, and Flint. The constant threat of an Ice Beam lurking in any water type's moveset doesn't help its case. Even in the anime, Torterra didn't fare much better. While Ash's Torterra looked impressive, it was often overshadowed by the explosive performances of Infernape. In fact, its defining moment in battle was, well, getting knocked out. Torterra isn't a bad Pokémon. It's sturdy, hits hard, and has a killer design. But compared to its Sinnoh siblings, Infernape and Empoleon, it feels like the starter that never quite found its footing. Or in Torterra's case, its footing was just too slow to matter. Unova. Samurott. Samurott feels like a Pokémon that couldn't decide what it wanted to be. Its pre-evolutions, Oshawott and Duwont, had so much potential. A cute otter that evolves into a sleek. But then Samurott shows up, drops to all fours, and leaves everyone scratching their heads. Is it a samurai? A seal? A disappointment? Maybe all three. Statistically, Samurott is fine. It has decent attack and special attack, but its speed leaves much to be desired, and its bulk isn't enough to compensate. Worse, its move pool is all over the place, making it hard to figure out if it wants to hit hard physically or go for special attacks. In battle, it struggles to stand out, especially when you consider the other Unova starters. Serperior has Contrary and Leaf Storm to sweep teams, and Emboar brings raw firepower. Samurott, meanwhile, just kind of flops around hoping for a decent matchup. Even in the anime, Samurott was left out in the cold. While Oshawott had plenty of adorable moments, it never evolved, leaving Samurott as more of an afterthought. It doesn't help that Unova already has better water types, like Jellicent and Seismitoad, stealing the spotlight. Samurott isn't a bad Pokémon, it's just not a great one either. It's the Unova starter equivalent of a shrug. Perfectly okay, but nothing to write home about. Kalos. Delphox. Delphox is a Pokémon that tried to be magical but ended up more magical. Its concept, a mystical fire witch, had so much potential, but somewhere along the way, things went wrong. The end result? A fox with awkward ear hair and a design that feels like it's stuck between regal and ridiculous. As a fire psychic type, Delphox isn't bad on paper. It has decent speed and special attack, making it a solid choice in battles. However, its move pool leaves a lot to be desired, and it struggles to stand out in the Kalos region, where it's constantly overshadowed by Greninja. Let's face it, Greninja is one of the most beloved Pokémon ever, and being in the same trio as it is like trying to perform stand-up comedy after someone just told the best joke of the night. In the anime, Delphox didn't get much love either. Serena's Braixen, its pre-evolution, stayed in the spotlight while Delphox was left backstage. Even in terms of personality, Greninja and Chestnut have more going for them. Delphox just doesn't scream fan favorite. Delphox isn't a terrible Pokémon, but it never quite lands the magic it's aiming for. Compared to its Kalos siblings, it's the one most likely to pull a disappearing act from your memory. Alola. Primarina. Primarina is a Pokémon that feels like it missed its moment. While its design, a graceful mermaid-like siren, is unique and elegant, it struggles to shine in a generation where its siblings are a wrestling tiger and a sharp-shooting owl. Let's be honest, when most players see Primarina next to Incineroar and Decidueye, they're probably reaching for the flaming wrestler or the edgy archer before considering the singing sea lion. In battle, Primarina is surprisingly solid. Its Water Fairy type gives it excellent coverage, and it can dish out heavy damage with moves like Moonblast and Sparkling Area. However, its middling speed means it often gets hit first, and while it can take a hit or two, it lacks the tankiness to endure long battles. In the Alola games, Primarina performs well, but its appeal doesn't seem to extend far beyond gameplay. The real issue is its popularity or lack thereof. Incineroar became a global sensation thanks to its role in Super Smash Bros., and Decidueye got a spot in Pokémon Unite and Pokken Tournament. Meanwhile, Primarina got, well, a Z-move and Lana's affection in the anime. Cool, but not exactly headline-grabbing. Primarina is beautiful and capable, but in a trio filled with charisma and power, it feels more like the backup vocalist than the star performer. Paldea. Quaquaval. Quaquaval is a Pokémon that brings a lot of energy to the table, maybe too much. Its flamboyant, over-the-top design makes it look like it's auditioning for a spot in Dancing with the Stars. While its confidence is admirable, it's hard to shake the feeling that Quaquaval is trying just a little too hard to be the life of the party. In battle, Quaquaval has some impressive tools. Its water fighting type is solid, and its signature move, Aqua Step, boosts its speed with every use, letting it snowball through teams if given the chance. But its potential is often undercut by its middling bulk, making it a bit of a glass cannon. Plus, compared to its Paldean siblings, Meowscarada, with its sneaky versatility, and Skeledirge with its fiery tankiness, Quaquaval feels like it's dancing to the beat of a different drum. Even in the anime, Quaquaval gets sidelined. While Meowscarada and Skeledirge take center stage, Quaquaval is stuck as the partner of a less prominent character, leaving it as more of a background act. Quaquaval isn't a bad Pokémon, but its theatrical flair doesn't quite make up for its shortcomings. It's flashy, sure, but maybe it should spend less time dancing and more time battling. Starter Pokémon are the heart of every trainer's journey, but not all starters are created equal. From Blastoise's underwhelming presence in the shadow of Charizard and Venusaur to Quaquaval's theatrical missteps, each of these Pokémon has struggled to keep up with its peers for one reason or another. Whether it's due to design choices, lackluster performance, or simply being overshadowed by flashier siblings, these starters remind us that even in Pokémon, not everyone can be the star. Do you agree with these picks, or is your favorite starter feeling unfairly roasted? Let us know, and don't forget to subscribe.